All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to solve a puzzle, a really critical one. Why is it that some things completely break under pressure, while others just bend? The answer is absolutely fundamental to understanding risk, whether we're talking about natural disasters, cyber attacks, or even the stability of your own business. I mean, just think about it for a second. You've got two coastal towns, right? They get hit by the exact same hurricane. One is just devastated for years. The other one? It bounces back in a few weeks. Or two companies, they face the exact same shock to their supply chain. One goes bankrupt, the other barely even skips a beat. So what's the difference? It can't just be about the external event itself.
Well, the answer comes from seeing that risk really has two different parts. On one side, you've got the external threat, the thing that happens to you, the storm, the crash. But on the other side, and this is key, you've got the internal weakness, all those pre-existing conditions that decide just how badly that threat is going to hurt. It's the combination of the two that writes the final story.
To really get a grip on this, we need to be clear with our language, so let's properly introduce the two key players in this whole drama: hazard and vulnerability.
First up, we've got the hazard. This is the external event itself. It's the hurricane, the earthquake, the computer virus. It's a force out there in the world that has the potential to cause harm. Just think of it as the storm gathering on the horizon.
And now for its crucial partner, vulnerability. Now, this isn't external at all. This is an internal thing. It's how susceptible you are to getting hurt in the first place. It's the house with a leaky roof, the company with no cash reserves, the software that hasn't been updated. It's a specific set of conditions that can turn a potential hazard into a full-blown disaster. Okay, so we've got our two concepts separated out. Now let's see how they click together to create what is probably the single most important formula in all of risk management. And there it is. In its simplest form, risk equals hazard times vulnerability. Now, pay close attention to the fact that it's multiplication, not addition. That is so important. It means if either your hazard or your vulnerability is zero, guess what? Your risk is zero. A massive hurricane spinning in the middle of the ocean with nothing around for thousands of miles is a huge hazard, but there's no risk. And by the same token, if a system has zero vulnerability, it's perfectly protected, then even a pretty big hazard poses almost no risk at all. Now, we can even build on that simple formula. More advanced ways of thinking, like what you see here in this risk triangle, show risk as this interplay between the hazard, our vulnerability, and a third crucial piece, our level of preparedness. The logic is simple. The less prepared we are, the bigger our risk becomes. So, this leads to the most powerful idea of all. While we often can't stop the hurricane or the market crash, we usually can't control the hazard, we absolutely can do something about our vulnerability. And to do that, we first need to understand what it's actually made of. So let's break it down. First thing to realize is that vulnerability isn't just one single thing. As this image shows, it's this complex, multi-layered problem. Yeah, it includes the physical stuff, like our buildings and infrastructure, but it also includes our social networks, our economic stability, even how our institutions are set up. A crack in any one of these layers makes the whole system that much weaker. This diagram gives us a really practical way to analyze all those layers. It basically boils down to asking three simple questions. First, exposure. Are you in the path of danger? Second, sensitivity. If you do get hit, how badly is it going to hurt? And third, resilience. How quickly can you bounce back?
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Vulnerability is not some fixed state you're stuck in. It's dynamic, it's always changing. And that is great news, because if it's an internal condition that can change, it means we have the power to change it. We can actively work to lower our vulnerability by building up our ability to respond and our resilience to recover.
So this is way more than just theory. Let's dive into how this way of thinking is actually used in the real world by all kinds of organizations, from small businesses all the way up to major airports and huge global supply chains. You see, the pros don't just sit back and hope for the best. They are constantly actively working to shore up their internal weaknesses. And they do it with really concrete actions, rolling out clear security policies, making sure their staff is trained, building a culture that actually takes risks seriously. They tackle things like bad communication or inflexible supply chains. All of these are deliberate moves designed to lower their own vulnerability. And they use some seriously detailed tools, like this one, a vulnerability matrix. Now, don't worry about trying to read everything here. The big idea is that professionals use frameworks like this to systematically go on a hunt for weak spots, and they look across every single part of their organization, from the physical hardware to the cyber systems and even to human behavior. It's all about finding the cracks before the hazard does. And all of this brings us to the ultimate point, the real goal. The end game isn't just about patching up vulnerabilities one by one. The true objective is to make a fundamental shift, to transform the entire system from a state of being fragile to a state of genuine resilience.
This case study is the perfect illustration. Back during the 2011 London riots, some small businesses were incredibly vulnerable. They hadn't prepared, they had a really passive wait-and-see approach, and they didn't ask for help. But then there were others that were resilient. They had experience, they were flexible, they were constantly communicating, and they were determined to find a way through. They all faced the exact same hazard, but their internal conditions led to wildly different outcomes.
So, what was the secret sauce? What really made the difference? Well, the study boiled it all down to 3 things. Experience, which gave them the know-how to improvise. Mindset, just a sheer determination to move forward. And resources, having the flexibility and support they needed to adapt. Those 3 things are the core ingredients that turn fragility into resilience.
And that leaves us with one final thought to take away. We can't always stop the storm from coming, but we can choose to build a stronger shelter. So take a look at your own world, your work, your community, your life. Knowing you can't always control the hazard, where is your biggest opportunity to lower your vulnerability and build your resilience? Because that is where you'll find all the power. Thanks for tuning in.